Hello and welcome back to English with Soni. Today we are going to discuss one of the most celebrated and inspirational poems in modern English literature. It is If by Rudyard Kipling. This poem is not simply a collection of pieces of advice. It is a carefully constructed philosophy of life. Rudyard Kipling presents a demanding but deeply meaningful picture of what it means to develop a strong, mature, and disciplined character. Throughout the poem, the speaker places the son in a series of difficult situations, like what should you do when everyone around you is losing control? What should you do when people doubt you? What should you do when you are lied about or being hated? What should you do when your dreams fail? What should you do when you lose everything you have worked for? And what should you do when you become exhausted and have almost no strength left? And Kipling's answer is consistent. It's simple. Remain calm, remain truthful, remain humble, and keep going. This poem ultimately argues that greatness is not achieved merely through success, wealth, or social position, but it is achieved through self-mastery, integrity, perseverance, and emotional balance. The poem was published in 1910 in Kipling's collection Rewards and Fairies. Kipling connected the poem with Leander Starr Jameson, who failed 1895 Jameson raid, which followed by a successful political career. For Kipling, Jameson's ability to recover from failure represented qualities such as composure, confidence, and perseverance. The poem also reflects ideas associated with Stoicism. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that emphasizes reason, self-control, endurance, and emotional discipline in the face of circumstances. In simple words, you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. That principle runs through almost every line of this poem. Before we move to the stanza-by-stanza analytical explanation, let's understand the poem's basic literary form. If consists of 32 lines divided into 4 equal stanzas of 8 lines each. Each stanza is therefore an octave, meaning a stanza of 8 lines. This balanced structure reflects the poem's emphasis on balanced and disciplined life. The poem is written predominantly in iambic pentameter. An iambic pentameter means that a line generally contains 5 metrical feet, with the basic rhythm moving from an unstressed syllable to a stressed syllable like da, dum, and it goes on. And the poem follows the rhyme pattern AB, AB, CD, and CD in each stanza. And this gives the poem a regular, memorable, and musical quality. One of the most remarkable structural features is that the entire poem is essentially one long sentence. Think about that. For 30 lines, Kipling keeps giving conditions beginning primarily with if you can, but he does not tell the result immediately. He keeps adding one condition after another. The final reward arrives only in the last 2 lines. This creates suspense and anticipation. The reader keeps thinking, what will happen if a person can actually achieve all these qualities? And finally, in the last 2 lines, Kipling provides the answer. The tone of this poem is advisory, serious, philosophical, encouraging, disciplined, and paternal. The speaker sounds like an experienced father giving important advice to his son. However, the tone is never merely sentimental. The advice is demanding. Kipling does not say that life will become easy. Instead, he teaches the reader how to remain strong when life becomes difficult. And the mood is generally inspirational, reflective, and serious. At some points, the poem creates a feeling of pressure because the speaker describes failure, hatred, loss, exhaustion, and disappointment. But the overall effect is uplifting because every difficulty is presented as an opportunity to develop character. Now let's come to the writer, the poet Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was one of the major British writers of the late Victorian and early Edwardian periods. He was born in 1865 and died in 1936. He is widely known for his works such as The Jungle Book, The Kim, Just So Stories, and numerous poems and short stories. This poem, if appeared in his 1910 collection, Rivers and Fairies. That collection combined historical fiction with poetry. Kipling's writing frequently emphasizes qualities such as discipline, courage, endurance, duty, responsibility, and perseverance. These qualities are particularly prominent in stanza number 1. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for the doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. The poem begins directly with the word if. The speaker immediately begins presenting conditions. He does not promise his son a life without problems. Instead, he asks whether his son can maintain his character when problems arise. The first condition is, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. The expression keep your head means to remain calm, rational, and self-controlled. Imagine that everyone around you is panicking. People are confused, people are angry, people are blaming you. In such a condition, the easiest thing is to lose control yourself. But Kipling says that the truly mature person remains calm. He does not allow the emotional instability of others to dictate his own behavior. This is an important psychological principle. The strength of a person is revealed not when everyone is and everything is peaceful, but when everything around you is becoming chaotic. Rudyard Kipling then introduces the idea of self-confidence. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for the doubting too. A person must have confidence in his own judgment. There will always be people who doubt us. They may question our ability, they may criticize our decisions, they may tell us that we cannot succeed. But Kipling says, trust yourself. But he immediately adds in another important qualification. Make allowance for their doubting too. This prevents self-confidence from becoming arrogance. The speaker is not telling his son to believe that he is always right. He is saying, have confidence in yourself, but remain open to the possibility that others may have valid concerns. That is a much more mature form of confidence. And the next quality is patience. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting. Waiting is easy when we know that success is coming tomorrow. But genuine patience is tested when we do not know when the result will come. A student might work hard for months before seeing improvement. A person may struggle for years before achieving a goal. Kipling therefore values the ability to wait without becoming mentally exhausted or discouraged. And the poem then addresses integrity, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Suppose someone spreads false information about you. You may naturally want to respond with another lie, but Kipling says, do not become dishonest simply because somebody else is dishonest. Your moral standards should not depend on the behavior of other people. And then he says, or being hated, don't give way to hating. Again, the message is emotional discipline. If someone hates you, do not allow their hatred to control you. Do not become hateful simply because you have been hated. The poet is essentially saying, do not allow another person's weakness to become your own weakness. And finally, the stanza ends with this line, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. This is a warning against self-righteousness. Even if you are honest, even if you are patient, even if you are morally disciplined, do not constantly display your superiority. Do not behave as though you are better than everybody else. Do not speak as though you possess all knowledge. The ideal character combines confidence with humility, virtue with modesty, and strength with restraint. So the first stanza establishes a psychological and moral foundation of the entire poem. Rudyard Kipling presents the ideal individual as someone who possesses calmness, self-confidence, patience, integrity, emotional control, and humility. The stanza also introduces one of the poem's central principles, which is we cannot always control the behavior of others, but we can control our own response. And this idea continues throughout the remaining 3 stanzas. Stanza number 2. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you have spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. In the second stanza, Kipling moves from emotional discipline to ambition, thought, success, failure, and resilience. He begins by saying that if you can dream and not make dreams your master. Here, Kipling does not tell us to stop dreaming. Dreams are really important. Ambition is also important. Without aspirations, human beings cannot achieve great success, but there is danger in allowing ambition to control our entire existence. A person should have dreams, but should not become a servant of those dreams. Dreams should motivate us. They should not dominate us. And the poet continues, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim. Thinking is also valuable. Planning is valuable. Analysis is also valuable. However, thought without action can become useless. The poet therefore wants a person to combine intelligence with action. Do not spend your entire life thinking about what you might do. At some point, you must actually do it. And now we reach one of the most famous contrasts in the poem. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 impostors just the same. Triumph represents success, disaster, failure, or misfortune. Why does Kipling call them impostors? Because both can deceive us. Success can deceive us into thinking that we are permanently superior. Failure can deceive us into thinking that we are permanently worthless. But neither condition lasts forever. Success is temporary, failure is also temporary. Therefore, a mature person does not allow either one to completely control his emotions or identity. And the message is, do not become arrogant because of success, and do not become hopeless because of failure. Maintain your balance. The poet then describes another difficult situation. If you can bear to hear the truth you have spoken, twisted by nails to make a trap for fools. Imagine speaking the truth, only to discover that dishonest people have deliberately distorted your words. This can be extremely frustrating. But Kipling says that the mature person must have strength to bear it. He should not abandon his integrity simply because others behave dishonestly. And then comes the powerful image of rebuilding. Or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. Imagine spending your years building something important, a career, a reputation, a dream, an achievement, and then imagine watching it collapse. What should you do? Kipling answer is simple. Build again. Even if your resources are limited, even if your strength is reduced, even if your tools are worn out, begin again. The important thing is not that you never fail. The important thing is not that you never fall. The important thing is that you do not remain fallen. Thus, the second stanza develops the idea of balanced emotion and resilience. Rudyard Kipling does not reject dreams, thought, or success. He simply warns against becoming their servant. He teaches the reader to maintain equilibrium between dream and reality, thought and action, success and failure, and finally, loss and recovery. The stanza therefore presents resilience as the ability to rebuild without surrendering one's dignity. Stanza number 3. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your throne long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. The third stanza attacks the idea of resilience even further. Now Kipling imagines complete loss and extreme exhaustion. He says, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss. Pitch and toss was an old gambling game involving coins. The poet uses this situation to represent a person risking everything he has gained. The important lesson is not an encouragement to gambling, rather the image represents the possibility that a person may lose everything despite having achieved much, and then comes and lose and start again at your beginnings. This is one of the strongest statements about resilience in the poem. Imagine losing everything. What then? Kipling does not tell us to complain. He does not tell us to blame other people. He tells us, start again. This requires enormous psychological strength. A mature person understands that possessions can disappear, achievements can disappear, money can disappear too, positions can disappear either, but character, it remains. The poet then adds, and never breathe a word about your loss. The speaker advises the son to accept loss without turning it into permanent source of complaint. He must continue working. He must preserve his dignity. This does not mean that the pain does not exist. It means that the pain should not prevent progress. Now the poem reaches an even more demanding level. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone. Here heart, nerve and sinew collectively suggest emotional, mental and physical strength. The poet imagines a moment when all these sources of strength are exhausted. The boy is tired, the mind is tired, the emotions are tired as well, and yet the person must continue. And so hold on. When there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. When everything else is exhausted, one thing remains, the will. The will to continue, the will to resist surrender, the will to begin again, the will to build again. This is perhaps the purest expression of perseverance in the poem. Kipling suggests that human beings sometimes continue not because they have abundant strength, but because they possess the determination to keep going even when strength is almost gone. In a nutshell, the third stanza represents the extreme test of character. The first stanza teaches us to control ourselves. The second stanza teaches us to remain balanced in success and failure. The third asks, what happens when everything is lost and even your strength is disappearing? And the poet replies, willpower. The stanza therefore elevates perseverance from an ordinary virtue into a form of inner strength. Stanza number 4. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you will be a man, my son. The final stanza brings together many of the qualities developed throughout the poem. The poet first says, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, the individual must be able to interact with an ordinary people without sacrificing his moral principles. His environment should not determine his values. And then comes the contrasting statement, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch. The word kings represents power, prestige, and social status. The speaker says that even if his son enters the company of powerful people, he should not become arrogant. He should not retain the common touch, the ability to remain connected with ordinary people. So whether surrounded by crowds or kings, his character should remain essentially the same. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, this does not mean that the ideal person has no emotions. Rather, it means that other people should not have complete control over their emotional identity. An enemy should not be powerful enough to destroy his peace, and even a beloved friend should not become so important that the person's entire sense of self depends upon that relationship. And then he says, If all men count with you but none too much. Respect everyone, value everyone, but do not idolize anyone. This is another expression of the poem's philosophy of moderation and balance. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. Why is the minute called unforgiving? Because time does not wait. Once a minute has passed, it cannot be recovered. You cannot ask yourself to return. You cannot ask the lost hour to come back. Therefore, the poet tells us to use every moment meaningfully. And the phrase 60 seconds worth of distance run suggests purposeful action. Use your time. Make progress. Move forward. Do not allow valuable moments to disappear through laziness or indecision. And now, after 30 lines of conditions, the poet finally gives us the reward. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. This is an image of complete achievement. But the speaker immediately adds, and which is more, this is extremely important. The poet says that possessing the world is not the greatest achievement. There is something greater, and that is, you will be a man, my son. Man here represents the ideal of mature character as understood by the speaker. The speaker's conception is shaped by the gender expectations of the historical period. Modern readers may see the poem's presentation of these virtues as specifically masculine, because qualities such as courage, self-control, integrity can belong to the people of any gender. For our literary understanding, however, the essential point is this: maturity is not simply a matter of age, it is something earned through character. So the final stanza brings the entire poem to its conclusion. The speaker has taken us through calmness, self-confidence, patience, integrity, ambition, failure, recovery, perseverance, humility, social balance, and responsible use of time. All of these qualities lead us to one final achievement, and that is maturity of character. The ultimate reward is therefore not merely material success, it is self-mastery. Now that we have understood all four stanzas, let's discuss the major themes of the poem separately. Self-control is one of the central ideas of if. The ideal individual remains calm when others panic. He does not respond to lies with lies. He does not respond to hatred with hatred. He does not become arrogant in success. He does not become hopeless in failure. The poem therefore presents self-control as the foundation of a dignified life. The poem repeatedly teaches us to continue despite adversity. If everything we have built is destroyed, build again. If you lose everything, start again. If our strength disappears, hold on. The repeated emphasis on endurance makes perseverance one of the poem's defining virtues. Third one, balance and moderation. Kipling does not advocate extremes. He says, dream, but do not become a servant of your dreams. Think, but do not make thought your only purpose. Succeed, but do not become arrogant. Fail, but do not become hopeless. Walk with kings, but retain the common touch. Respect everyone, but idolize no one. And this philosophy of balance runs throughout the poem. The speaker tells his son to trust himself even when others doubt him. But he simultaneously tells him to consider their doubts. This creates an important distinction. Self-confidence is strength, arrogance is weakness disguised as a strength. The ideal person possesses the first without falling into the second. The poem emphasizes moral consistency as well. If people lie about you, remain truthful. If people hate you, do not become hateful. The speaker wants the individual to maintain his principles even when other people abandon theirs. True integrity means doing what is right even when it is difficult. Number 6 is humility. The poem repeatedly warns against vanity. A person should not look too good or talk too wise even when successful. He should remain humble. Even when talking and walking among kings, he should retain the common touch. The 7th theme is success and failure. Kipling treats triumph and disaster as equally important, or more precisely, equally temporary. Success does not define the whole person. Failure also does not define the whole person. What matters is how one responds to both. Then the unforgiving minute represents the irreversible nature of time. Every second that passes is gone forever. The poet therefore encourages purposeful living. Time should not simply pass through us. We should make meaningful use of it. And the last theme is maturity and character. Ultimately, the poem is about becoming a mature human being. The speaker does not define maturity through age, wealth, education, or status. It defines it through self-control, courage, responsibility, integrity, humility, and perseverance. That is why the final reward is, you will be a man, my son. Now let's move to the literary devices separately. Anaphora. Anaphora means the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive lines or clauses. The most obvious example in the poem is "if you can." This expression is repeated throughout the poem. It creates rhythm, emphasis, and suspense. More importantly, every repetition introduces another test of character. Personification, it means giving human qualities, actions, or characters to non-human things or abstract ideas. For example, make dreams your masters. Dreams cannot literally become a human master. Similarly, triumph and disaster are described as those two impostors. And later, the will would say to them, hold on. The abstract idea of will is presented as if it can speak. These examples make abstract psychological forces more vivid and understandable. As you all know, a metaphor is a direct comparison in which one thing is described in terms of another without using like or as. For example, build them up with worn out tools. The poet is not literally talking about constructing a building. The building represents the achievements of one's life. The worn out tools represents the experience, skills, and remaining resources with which a person must rebuild after failure. Another important metaphor appears in fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. The poet metaphorically presents time as something that can be filled through purposeful action. Now let's look at another important literary device, polyptoton. It is the repetition of words that are derived from the same root but are used in different grammatical forms. For example, wait, waiting, light, lies, hated, hating, and lose and loss. This technique reinforces the idea that the same experience can produce different responses. For example, someone may hate you, but you do not have to respond by hating. Someone may lie about you, but you do not have to tell lies. This device therefore supports the poem's central message of moral self-control. Polysyndeton. Polysyndeton means deliberately repeating conjunctions such as "and" between words or phrases. A good example from the poem is heart and nerve and sinew. Notice how the word "and" is repeated. The repeated "and" creates the impression of one effort being added to another. It also gives the line a sense of persistence, almost as though the person is taking one difficult step after another. So through this simple repetition, Kipling creates a feeling of continuous effort and endurance. Juxtaposition. Juxtaposition means placing contrasting ideas close together in order to emphasize their difference. Kipling repeatedly uses this technique throughout the poem. For example, keep your head contrasted with losing theirs. Another example is being lied about contrasted with don't deal in lies, and being hated contrasted with don't give way to hating, and finally crowds contrasted with kings. These contrasts highlight the difference between the behavior of ordinary people and the behavior Kipling expects from an ideal individual. The message is clear. You must not allow the behavior of others to determine your own behavior. Alliteration. It is the repetition of same initial consonant sounds in nearby words. For example, 60 seconds. Notice the repeated S sound. This repeated S sound contributes to the musical quality of the line. Another noticeable sound pattern occurs in heart and nerve and sinew. The repeated consonant sound gives the expression rhythm and strength. So alliteration is not merely decorative, it can also make an impression more memorable and forceful. Consonance. It means the repetition of consonant sounds within nearby words. For example, talk with crowds and keep your virtue, and walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. The repeated consonant sound, such as K sound, make the language sound firm and memorable, and this contributes to the poem's authoritative quality. In other words, we can say that the sound itself supports the confident and instructive voice of the poem. The ninth device is assonance, and it means the repetition of vowel sounds in nearby words. For example, in truth you have spoken, the repeated vowel sounds contributes to the musical quality of this expression. And similarly, the sounds in stoop and tools creates additional musical resonance. Therefore, assonance is used relatively subtly in the poem, but it helps make Kipling's advice memorable and pleasing to the ear. Apostrophe or direct address. The 10th device is apostrophe, or more precisely direct address. In poetry, apostrophe can refer to directly addressing someone. Throughout most of the poem, the speaker repeatedly uses the word you. The identity of the person being addressed becomes completely clear only at the end, my son. This direct address makes the poem feel intimate and paternal. It sounds as though a father is personally advising his son about how to live his life. At the same time, because the speaker repeatedly says you, readers can easily imagine that this device and this advice is also being addressed to them personally. And this is one reason why if continues to feel relevant to readers across generations. Repetition. Finally, we have repetition. The repeated use of if you can is not only an example of anaphora, it is also repetition. This repetition creates a cumulative effect. One quality is not enough, two qualities are not enough. The speaker keeps adding condition after condition until the reader finally reaches the reward. So the repeated sound structures make the poem feel almost like a series of tests. The speaker is essentially saying, if you can do this, if you can do that, if you can remain strong in the situation, if you can control yourself in the situation, then finally you will achieve the maturity and character that the poem describes. Now, if we step back and look at the poem as a whole, we can understand what Kipling is really trying to communicate. If is a poem about the construction of character. Kipling does not promise son a life without difficulty. He does not say that success will always come. He does not say that people will always treat him fairly. Instead, he prepares him for the opposite. People may doubt you, people may blame you, people may lie about you, people may hate you, your dreams may fail, your achievements may collapse, you may lose everything, you may become exhausted, but throughout all of these experiences, one thing must remain constant, and that is your character. And that is the central philosophy of it. The poem teaches us that circumstances may change, but principles should not. Success should not make us arrogant, failure should not make us hopeless, criticism should not destroy our confidence, praise should not inflate our ego, loss should not end our journey, and exhaustion should not necessarily mean surrender. And the poem therefore gives us powerful definition of greatness. Greatness is the ability to remain yourself when circumstances are trying to change you. And that is why the final reward is so significant. Kipling does not simply promise, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, but he adds, and which is more, you will be a man, my son. The greater achievement is not possessing the world. The greater achievement is possessing yourself. So if there is one message you should take away from this poem, let it be this. Control yourself when the world becomes uncontrollable. Remain truthful when others are dishonest. Remain humble when you succeed. Remain courageous when you fail. And when you have almost nothing left, find the will to hold on. That is the enduring message of Rudyard Kipling's If. Thank you very much for watching English with Rudyard Soni. If you found this lecture useful, don't forget to like the video and share it, and subscribe to English with Rudyard Soni for more detailed lectures on English poetry, literature, grammar and language. Keep learning, keep improving and keep building your character. See you in the next lecture.